5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Sofa Club is live.
So, without further ado, I would like to introduce two of the stars of the new film, Cocoon, that has also premiered earlier tonight. So I know many of you on the DIVA community have been watching it. But people, please welcome Jella Haase and Lena Klenke. Ladies, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
No worries, thank you, and thank you for looking so sharp, because that means I look good too. So I'm pleased with that. Now, as I said earlier, oh look, there's the first tech hiccup that the phone's gone off. That's probably my agent now telling me, you know, stop talking about the fact that you're wearing the same clothes. But what I'd like to say is that the film it premiered live as well earlier, that many people from our DIVA community got to watch the movie. And we've had such a great response. I saw the film myself over at the weekend. I loved it, obviously, but actually what I thought was what I really loved about it is how relatable it was. Now, even though it's kind of like a love story, and you know, it's a lesbian love story between two young teens, but that's not really the main focus of the film, is it? And I think what's great about that is that you can relate to it as a teenager on so many different levels. Which is what I loved. For me, I'll just say, having those feelings as a young lesbian teen, not knowing what the hell to do with them, having the party animal sister, just like yourself there, Lena, and also having that love, that summer love where you finally found someone who's willing to kiss you back, and then they break your heart. That's not good. So I could relate to it on many levels. But let's talk a bit more about it and delve into it. Tell us first, how did you get involved in the film Cocoon? Lena?
For me, it was pretty classical. I just went to a casting in Berlin where Leonie invited me, and then we just spoke about the book. I already read it before and I loved it, so I was really keen to meet her and to talk about it. And then the other Lena, who plays Nora, was already also in the casting, and then we just rehearsed like I think 3 or 4 scenes together, and it was a lot of fun. And then we talked more, and then I just really hoped to get the role. And then Leonie called me, and then her only concern was that I look too old, because my role in the movie is like 15, and then I told her that it's not a problem because everyone always tells me I look younger, and then we even put the braces on so I look more younger, and then we did a lot with the costume, and then yeah, it all started.
Oh, so you had to like wear like braces throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, I had to like click them in every day and couldn't eat or drink anything with it, so it was really like feeling back like being a teenager when you have to like wear all that stuff.
Yeah, and the food's stuck in them because you don't know how to clean them.
And you kind of have a little lisp because there's something that's always hitting your teeth.
Yeah, exactly. And what about you, Jella? What about yourself? Did you how did you get involved in the film?
So I know Leonie from a movie we did together before. It was also actually it was a love story about 3 women meeting in a how do you say, Lena, psychiatry?
Psychiatric
hospital? Is it maybe a way? And they fall in love with each other. So I knew Leonie from a movie before, but still I had to go to the casting because Leonie is, she's very clear, and I had to, the chemistry needed to be perfectly somehow, and so she had to test it, whether it would function between Lena and me, the love. And then I could convince her.
And you clearly did. You did a very good job of it. Did you feel, both of you, did you feel quite instantly connected to your characters? Was it quite easy to kind of relate to them or just get into character in general?
For me, I mean, I could relate to the feelings of Jule, of being like kind of the lost teenager and not knowing where to belong, and not getting along with your parents, but also really loving them, and then being annoyed by your sister, but also loving her. So I could relate to this, but I think apart from that, I'm a lot different to her, but it was really fun to get into like the kind of loud girl that's always in a clique and that's like always doing crazy stuff. So I really loved to connect like the parts I already knew and the parts that were so far away from me, and to kind of like put them together with Leonie. And like we wrote a whole biography for Jule, and like what she likes, what music she listens to, how she acts. So that was really cool.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Jella? Did you find it quite easy, instant connection, or how was your journey with the character?
Yeah, so sometimes I'd like to be even more like Romy, because I think she has somehow this wisdom of youth, you know, and she's a very gently and calm character. But in the end, she's also just a young human being who wants to be loved. And yeah, I somehow I can deeply relate to her. I think she's not running away from something, which is very healthy in a way. She has this, I don't know, this trust in life. And sometimes I wish more to be like her.
Yeah, well, I hear you on that, right? And this is what I think about both your characters, because they were both confident characters, but actually from very different ends of the spectrum. I felt they came across in the film. So, as an example, Romy's character was confident. You know, she didn't care what other people really thought about her. She dressed how she wanted to dress. You know, she wore the clothes. She said how it was, and she was just cool in that respect. She just did what she felt. You know, things she wanted to do. Whereas, you know, Jule's character is very much was the cool kid in school, but then you saw behind the scenes, you know, that she was often watching the YouTube videos about her weight and concerned about how she looked and trying to fit in with that, which actually takes up so much more kind of time and energy. You know, and again, that's where that I think relatability for a lot of young people have that. Was it important to you both within your characters that you got that across to show those differences in you know, how hard it can be sometimes, even if you are fitting in?
Yeah, and I think all these characters, as well the boys and all these characters, the parents, everyone in this movie have this natural vulnerability. And this comes very much from Leonie, and from Leonie's perspective and her view of people. And yeah, and you could think that this natural vulnerability makes the characters more weak, but it's actually the other way around. It makes them more strong in the end, which is really interesting, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about you, Lena? How did you feel that came across for your character in that role relating to it?
I mean, as Jella said, I think the main thing Leonie already did with writing the book, like the first time I read it, there was already everything in it and you could relate to every single character. So then it was just up to us to kind of bring that into ourselves. And then Leonie helped us with that so much because we rehearsed everything, and she really wanted to get in our heads and into the characters' heads. And by that, she like made something open in us. And then we were already so vulnerable that it was just so easy to play, which was so beautiful, because that's not always the case in a movie where you have to like constantly create that. And what Leonie did, she did that already in the beginning, and then we could just work with that every day on set. So yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Leonie, the director, she clearly put her heart and soul into the movie, and then again, I think that in itself comes across, you know, even with the way it's shot, where it's shot, and stuff. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. But I guess with that heartfelt, you know, that passion that comes from not just the director and you as actors and the characters. What was your response from any of your younger fans watching the movies? Again, with that relatability to your characters.
Yeah, I think the most beautiful response we had when we premiered at the Berlinale in the beginning of the year, because we premiered in the section generation, which is already like for younger people, and then there was a cinema full of younger but also older people, but just it was full house. And then they were like, we were in the middle of it during the movie, you could like feel them going with every single scene, and then they had so many questions afterwards and they were all so touched. So yeah, that was for me the most beautiful experience, to see how it connects to people. And even like young men had so many amazing questions and thoughts, and like I think a lot of them saw things they never even thought about. So yeah, that was really amazing.
And I think which what also touched the people very much was the end, and that it's not like a happy end, a cliche, the love find the love and then they're happy together, but it's about a young girl who's learning to move on no matter what happens, and who is exploring herself and
still finding herself.
finding herself
still
at the
in
end.
such a process.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, and again, that's why I think what makes the film so great, because there's on so many levels you can relate to it, and it isn't just about the sort of the lesbian love part of the story. It's literally about, these are the experiences that you know, they shape us as we grow, and you know, you meet people and they have like an impact on your life, whether it's positive and negative, and it's all those learning curves, isn't it, as you kind of grow, and again, you know, as you kind of, that coming of age and the realization. In fact, actually, at the end of the film, what I love is the part just where Nora is just casually walking with a nice lolly. You know, she's just like, yeah, well, that happened. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is, and here we find ourselves. Have you had much of a reaction from LGBT youth though on that perspective? I guess maybe that question goes out to you, Jella, because you know, the whole idea around the love story being two young girls. Have you had any sort of people maybe coming out? You know, often we hear people come right to their characters or their actors and say, oh, you know, I saw the movie and this has, you know, been the effect on me. Has anything like that happened?
I think not specific, but yeah, I think, as Lena said, that people from all ages and from all diversity, they were all touched, because I think what connected them all was this experience of a big first time of alcohol, first time of falling in love, first time of getting the period, and that no, not in a specific way to answer the question.
I mean, it's also hard right now because in Germany, the movie came out when there were only so few people allowed to be in the cinema, and then they were closed right after again. So the movie was supposed to travel so much, like all over the world. Leonie and the other Lena were supposed to go to so many places, and nothing really happened. So you can't really get in contact to people, because I think the most amazing reactions you have when you meet them in person right after the movie, and that didn't really happen.
But people came up with very interesting questions. So there was a woman after we premiered at Berlinale, and she came to me and asked me, Jella Haase, stop. Would you ever wash out the blood from a stranger, from a strange person, you know, from a girl you don't know? And I was just like, wow, what a question. And I had really to think about it, but I wish that this movie maybe leads us in a way to do things like this and to create a bigger tolerance of all these topics.
It's true. It's an interesting question for someone to come up and ask you, but I guess really, I suppose you can, fair to say in the film at the time of that scene, how many people may have gone, okay, I'll do it. But you're right, because really it's like, you know, sometimes it's just people are supporting other people, and that may well have happened in a situation, you know, it's just, but I guess this is where people's minds go when they see certain certain scenes, right? But I guess as well, coming back to the whole, you know, lockdowns obviously affected everybody, and it's just put a massive stop on such, you know, everything. I mean, thankfully that, you know, the films can still be streamed live, so people can connect on and watching them there. But I'm confident whoever watches this film and wherever it's watching.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How is it in England now, or so how will be our movie shown there? How can people, can they screen it actually?
Can they watch it in the? It's going to be released on Friday, I believe, and it's going to be in cinemas and on demand, so people will be able to watch it. So yeah, the powers of technology. So you might not have to wear a mask on your sofa. So that helps. We've had a really good reaction from our DIVA community though, and people who have watched it where it's streamed live before we went live this evening. So you know, that in itself says a lot, and we've got a big DIVA community which is up to, I think, 8,000 people now. So that in itself, yeah. And either way, listen, I'm your biggest fan. But what I wanted to ask as well is because I know, again, Leonie, the director, I've seen her talk in interviews as well, and she talked about the fact that the film, there was, you know, on a very tight budget, and often there may have been situations where you literally had one opportunity to make the film, you know, to do a scene, and that's the final cut. When you're under that kind of pressure, what sort of tips would you maybe give to budding actors out there who are, you know, in those situations where it's like, I've got one take, the director is not going to allow this to happen again? I mean, how do you prepare for it?
I think, well, the first thing is, don't think about that. Don't ever think about that. And I mean, I think while we shot the movie, it was always a little bit stressful, or it wasn't like the easiest movie to shoot, but it was also so familiar because we had such a small team, and everyone was doing everything, and like everyone was always doing everything to make things happen. So it was also really cool to just be so involved and like not sit around, wait for 5 hours and then do like one scene. No, we were always into everything. So there was a different energy, and then we always knew that Leonie was trying to make everything possible to make it the best. And then I think it was also really good that we rehearsed so much before, like almost the entire movie, so that Leonie could literally say, oh, we're doing this scene now that was planned for, like, I don't know, next week, and you weren't stressed out because we were so into our characters and what was going to happen, that for me it was actually fun to just fall into the scenes and maybe just see how the surrounding is and not get stressed out about maybe the fact that light is running away or that we only have 10 minutes or something.
And Leonie, so first of all, yeah, totally, I agree with Lena, but Leonie also has a talent of making her actors feeling comfortable, because she's a very calm person, and I trust her so much and so honestly, in a way that I know if Leonie's next to me, she will know what is right for the scene, you know. She's, yeah, a really special director.
Do you feel that we've got some questions, I believe, that are coming up as well, but do you feel that you know, with that helped you have that connection? Because on screen, like I said earlier, it really comes across as if you've known each other for years, even though obviously you're actors, so that's part of your job, but you know, it really does, you know, come across well. Did it help you having that sort of close-knit set and crew, help you sort of get into character and feel you could relate to it easily than normal on set?
Yeah, and also to like rehearse before. We did rehearsals just the other Lena and me kind of as a family, then with the actress who played our mother, and then also with the guys who were mostly street casted. They never played in a movie before. So yeah, we just spent time before and like asked questions and really got to know each other. And then just every day we could like kind of fall into what was happening without being too stressed about our surroundings, which then I think pays off because you can really see that the people already have a connection.
Do you know each other outside of like in your acting circle or in your, because I know you're both from Berlin as well, but did you know each other prior? Anyone
Yeah, we shot a movie actually.
3 movies.
3 movies. The first one like 6 years ago.
7
years ago. Yeah. So we've known each other, and we shot one movie in Thailand together. So there has been some time, and for me, Jella is like a bigger sister.
Oh.
That is well. Let Jella enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. We'll have some emoji hearts that stuff up around you.
Yeah, wait, I can.
And I remember exactly the day I first read the script of Leonie, and I saw Jella that day, and I told her about it. And she's like, "Yeah, I know Leonie. I shot another movie with her." And then I really hoped that we would both play in the movie together, even though we don't have any scenes together. But still, it was such a amazing connection. And as we said, like Leonie's such an amazing director.
And for me also the story from the story about the sisters, it touched me so deeply. And I think Lena, you played it so, it was a joy to watch you. And every time Jule is crying so badly, I have to cry as well because it's so moving.
Oh, I'm really feeling the love now here on Zoom. It's really, you know. And is this what you both do in interviews? You wear the same outfit, you spread the love across live air.
Yeah, now you got it.
Time. It's our theme. We've rehearsed this before.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, I also had the pleasure of interviewing Lena Sandowski, who plays Nora in the movie, and she gives you just as much love back as well. And she said it was just a real pleasure to be part of the crew and cast, and you know, so again, that whole sense of that community within your crew, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? You know, especially when you've got one scene opportunity. So do that. But again, like, there's so many films that kind of explore that coming of age sort of, you know, storyline. I mean, what do you think, Cocoon, how does that differ from other movies, would you say? Yeah.
Well, as I said, there's this natural vulnerability of all these characters, and yeah, there is Leonie's really honest view about youth, and it's about the mystery of youth and the wisdom of youth somehow, and it's free from cliches, you know. I don't know, it's a bit difficult to.
I think it's just like an excerpt from life, like kind of like you've taken out things
With framing.
Normal daily life, and that is so rare in movies because of course you always want to create special moments and everything is always a little bit over the top. But I think with that movie it's just so beautiful to see these girls living and growing up, and then especially in this scenery in Berlin, where I think people who are from that city and from that area can also relate so much, because it's really like that in the summer in Berlin. Like, it's so hot and you can't really stand it, but you're still always everywhere and like go to like these not pretty places. And it's I don't know, I think it's really nice to just see things you can connect to, and so many different people can connect to, because it has such a big like spectrum.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? And the way the film's shot, and obviously the location. I know you're both from Berlin. That area, the film has like a real sense of self. Were you familiar with that particular area in Berlin beforehand? I'm not sure what part you're from at this point.
Yeah. And it's very popular actually. Cottbusser is like it's kind of rough and dirty, but on the other hand, it's very hip as well. You know, it's always very strange when
you're talking my language. You're saying rough and dirty and hip. I'm with you, sister.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, Cottbusser is just, it's the center of Kreuzberg. It's the center of the area I was born and raised, and I spent a lot of time in my youth there, and still I like this place. It's a crazy mixture of
people, cultures, and everything. Also for me, in like my youth, like when I was 16, it was always the place where we met, like before we went out, because it's like somewhere everyone could come to, and it doesn't matter what time during the day or during the night you go there, there's always people, there's always something happening, and yeah, it's a really special place.
It's on my hit list, and I think I'm just going to put it out there now, ladies, that I know I've now got 2 holiday homes after lockdown where I can come and stay with you, because we all obviously got the same fashion sense. So clearly we can share wardrobes. I'll bring 1 suitcase, 1 fits all. It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. You mentioned earlier about the film premiering and the Berlinale. And the reaction that you got from the audience there and afterwards. What's it like when you've wrapped a film and it's done? And I know you'll be experienced in this, but what's it like then when you are at these premieres and you're seeing yourself on the big screen? What's that feeling like? Are you, because many actors will often say to people that I've interviewed previously, they're like, oh, I don't want to look, or are you cruel? Are you kind? Is it a mixed feeling? How is it for you?
With this movie, I felt really comfortable. I love to watch the others, and I love to watch the story. And it's very rarely, it's not very often that you can relate that much to the work you did.
Yeah, for me it's the same. I was never so like proud to show something like, and just to let people see it. I think we all watched it like before for ourselves, just kind of to get to know what Leonie did, but then to see it with people on a big screen and just to see their reactions. And it's also so cool because the movie, like in cinema, it's so special. It starts smaller and then it opens the frame while you watch it, and it has such beautiful music, and I think it's such really a cinema movie. So here at the Berlinale was
you just fall into the movie.
You absolutely do. You really do. But listen, I want to ask, this is the question, I'll do my burning question to you. I hear that, what you're saying, but what about when you're in the packed room in the cinema and you're at the front row, and then how comfortable are you when your kissing scenes come on, or your naked scenes? Because we all know that, Romy loved a bit of getting naked, didn't she? Any opportunity, it seemed, in that film that she could get naked, she was naked. What's that like for you on screen? Are you a bit like at the cinema, like, yes, it's me? Or is it just like, what's your thoughts on that? How does it feel at the time?
I mean, being naked always must fit into the story, I would never ever just be like, yeah, look at me, I don't give a fuck. That's not the way I am. But I think it fit to Romy. It fitted to Romy to just be comfortable with her body, and so it was very logical that when you go swimming in a lake, you do this naked. It's real life. And so in this case, I didn't have a problem with seeing seeing me naked, because also I think the framings are beautiful, the pictures are beautiful, the scenery is beautiful, and it's the first time of falling in love, the first time of being naked, kissing each other, and yeah, for those things you have to be naked, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true, and I totally get it. And this is why it brings it to life, really, doesn't it? And the way it's shot, it just makes it more realistic. You know, in the lake, in the woods. That's what you've got to go and do. Cool, you're making me want to come out of lockdown a lot quicker now. Honestly, find the nearest lake.
Yeah, my friend, she goes swimming in the lake every Sunday.
Oh, lovely, and
it's so cold outside.
Oh, that would get the blood circulating in your veins, won't it? There you go. It would get it going. You're both experienced actors. I know you've been in many other previous films, but how did you actually get into acting initially?
I started when I was 13, kind of by accident, because a friend of my mother had a agency, and then I just went to like a few castings, and then one of them worked out, and then I had my first role in a small cinema movie, and then I really liked it and kept going. Yeah, and then I don't know, it just kind of happened.
And then here we are all in the same tops. What about you, Jella?
I knew that I wanted to become an actress, and I had a friend, and she told me about an agency, and that they have a casting call, and so I guess I was 15. So I went there and I did a casting, and I wanted to, get into this agency in order to make castings to shoot movies, and that worked out.
Yeah.
And we're still in the same agency.
Yeah, true.
Shout out to our agent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah, so you really you're like besties, really, in a lot of ways. Feeling this right now. So we've got a question that's come in that I'm going to read out here. A question from George. The music in the film is so fun. What was the soundtrack to your summer, if you could call the 2020 a summer at all? So I don't know if it's going to be a soundtrack for this year, but what would be your soundtrack to your summer?
For me, it was really important for me, or it was a great gift that Alice Phoebe Lou would lead us, or would give the song She to us. And Alice Phoebe Lou she's a musician from South Africa, and she moved to Berlin, and she got known by playing on the street, and she performs this song soundtrack, She, in the movie. And for me, this song is the ultimate summer song.
Fabulous. What about yourself, Lena? What's your soundtrack of your summer?
I mean, of this summer, it's kind of hard because it was such a different summer.
This summer.
But I rediscovered Fleetwood Mac, and that's something that's just bringing me up all the time. When, like, even now in winter, it's just always brings you joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love a bit of Fleetwood Mac. And also the thing with Fleetwood Mac I always find is that the song will come on the radio wherever you hear it, and you're like, oh, I know that song, I love that song. Who sings that song?
Yeah, and then it always ends up being Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
always great. So look, not only good stress sense, but both of you have good sound of music. So I'm really excited about this. We're coming towards the end of this fabulous interview, and I can always chat to you for as long as we can allow. But I want to ask a question very quickly. You're both clearly fabulous actors, and that shines through not just in this film but in previous films. But if you could play anybody, who would be your ultimate character?
I mean, I can't really say because I have to read a book and then it has to catch me, and then it can be from, I don't know, being historical to being a super agent to, it just has to be an interesting character for me, and ideally something I can relate to, but that also maybe like scares me or excites me a little bit. So it's kind of, yeah, it always has to be something new. So there's not one person I would like to play. It's just, they just have to be interesting and catch me.
Yeah, okay, great, interesting. What about you, Jella?
I'd like to play a really evil person, like the badass, I don't know, how do you say Bösewicht? Saski?
I don't know, the mean one in a fairy tale. How do you call them?
Yeah, the mean one in James Bond, the mean one, you know, the...
Oh, just your villains, so the villains.
Yeah.
The bad guy, the villains, or the bad person, sorry, the baddies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've got to have a little bit of a meaning in there sometimes.
The meaner, the better.
And again, I'm sorry to bring it up, but we are so dressed right for these villains.
Yeah.
We're getting in there. So what can people expect? What's coming up next? I know we've been in lockdown, and obviously that's all been just, well, it goes without saying what lockdown's been like in the pandemic. What's coming up for you? Are you working on any projects at the moment, or anything that we can look forward to in the future, 2021?
I shot the 3rd season of our Netflix show, How to Sell Drugs Online Fast, this summer. So hopefully that comes out next year. Yeah, and then another German movie, but I don't know when that's coming out internationally.
Yeah.
And you can come to Berlin and see me play at Volksbühne. It's a theater in Berlin, but there's also a movie which will be released in March, but you don't know whether the cinemas will be open at that time again or not. So it's not really clear, but it's a movie about Thomas Brasch, and he was a very well-known writer who flew from the eastern part of Berlin to the west part with his wife and girlfriend, and I play Katharina Thalbach. And yeah,
And you're playing, and that's in Berlin. That's where you'll be performing that.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So that's good for me to know again, because now I have got my holiday home. You can book me a ticket, and I will be there. You just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I love how I'm just inviting myself along.
Yeah, that's very good.
You got to. No one's going to invite me otherwise. I've just got to like put myself out there. Come on, people. I would just like to let you know also that you can actually find more about where the film is being shown, where Cocoon is being shown on www.cocoonfilm.co.uk. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see it already, make sure that you get out there and you do see it, because it is a fantastic film. And as I say, even though there is a lesbian love story in there, anyone I feel can relate to it as a teenager. If you was ever a teenager once, there's a bit of something in there for you. I'd love to chat and speak to you for much longer, as I said, ladies, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us at the DIVA Interviews. It's like, honestly, social media just went crazy when we were posting about this, and everyone's been so excited, me especially being so excited to chat with you both today. But thank you for having us, and to you out there, viewers, I would just like to say again, please give a warm cyber clap as loud as you can for Jella Haase and Lena Klenke of Cocoon. Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Oh look, you've got your clap up. There we go.